Hey everyone, it's Zach with Palantir Research. AIPCon is happening in a few days, and just for the investors to understand the scale of presenters, these would be clients in the multi-billion valuations, or hundreds of billion, and or revenue range, with a good mix of public and private enterprises where we can find a good amount of information. I want to focus on this huge partner slash client, Cisco. Because first, they're a freaking $200 billion market cap giant, but also their Senior Director of Engineering Government Solutions will be speaking at AIPCon, and he's actually involved in the technical pre-sale side, so Palantir succeeding here with Cisco really can showcase their value if they help bring in more dollars efficiently. So first, as an organization, Cisco honestly speaks for itself, has around $200 billion market cap as a public company, well known for their tech solutions all over the board like cloud and cybersecurity, and a lot of people who work in an office, not even as a technical role, will most likely interact with a Cisco product, probably with their endpoint security and or VPN. Basically, very large and wide-reaching in the tech space and everywhere around the world. Now, financially speaking, we know this company generates tens of billions of dollars in revenue every quarter, and from their latest financials actually, they got $14.6 billion in revenue and $5.2 billion in cash flow and GAAP net income of 78 cents per share, which is around $3.21 billion. And remember, this is quarterly results. Side note, if Palantir can ever get this big, a lot of shareholders would be very happy, but I digress. So we know Cisco is very large, very competent, at least making money, but they still gave Palantir a chance and used Palantir. This speaks volumes on the kind of clients that Palantir gets, because we know obviously on the government side, we don't expect them to be too organized technologically or even have competence in that regard, but to have a major player like Cisco also use Palantir really shows there's something special here. I'm definitely excited to see the kind of presentation that Mike Junkers will be doing, but now let's look at the speaker himself. So first, from Cisco themselves, his responsibilities are for the pre-sale systems engineering team that supports the US federal government specifically. So it's not surprising here with Palantir's work with the government that he'd be speaking today. Mike is also responsible for representing US federal customers within Cisco's development organization of aggregation, validation, prioritization, and delivery of all US federal unique requirements, as well as keeping Cisco technically competitive. And his background is technical with a BS in computer science and master's in telecom and computers. So we know here in the pre-sales process, essentially he's just making sure that we could take a look at the client systems before we go too deep into the sales process and get a good idea and figure out, as an engineer technically, working with the client or potential client's engineers to figure out exactly what is going on before you're going to get too deep into the deal. So we're not dealing with an MBA operator here who's crunching numbers or moving people around. At least educationally, he has focus on the technical end, which I actually like to see as a presenter for AIPCon. Now, let's take a quick look too on his LinkedIn, and actually it's a pretty simple one, but interesting. His first 7 years was working with the CIA, or Central Intelligence Agency, so we know where that government tie is. It all makes sense now why he's working with federal clients in his current role. And then after that, though, he was working at Cisco for almost 16 years, climbing up the ladder. He went literally from a systems engineer and then moved up into management. And then he did go away for a little bit at a smaller company here. I think it's called Looking Glass Cyber Solutions for 2.5 years, and then came back to Cisco again, and he's been here for 5 years until today. So he has a strong government background and then went on to work on the commercial side ever since as an engineer. So he did have technical experience, but did work his way up to the management side. And management still does need some of that technical know-how, but he's not necessarily doing the work, but he does know how to organize the work and spot different engineers and kind of organize their way to do it more efficiently and do the job right. Now that we've got some basic information on Cisco and Mike, and my speculation is that he will actually be talking about, of course, the government business that he's responsible for at Cisco and how Palantir AIP, or at least artificial intelligence, being utilized in Foundry. Now, if he's working in the pre-sale sides of system engineering, it sounds like he works on a very technical aspect before deals are really solidified, because it can be difficult to value a deal without knowing what you're working with for a client. And are they starting from scratch? Are you integrating with different systems, which is most likely the case? And what is difficult with those different systems? Or what is the difficulty in transitioning this client from those current systems? So lots of technical stuff here that could take place. And of course, non-technical sales can't really do anything here. Now, to add on top of that, working with the government, you've got to know they're probably slow moving and have to work with the bureaucracy. So it does help that he's had some experience working within the government to know how that process is on their side, and probably has a lot of connections as well. So I'd speculate he would try to demonstrate for AIPCon, so these are speculations, how certain processes or cycles was working for them beforehand. And then after implementing Palantir and possibly AI, how it made his team more efficient and possibly utilize more predictive capabilities in the pre-sales aspect. It can feel like a black box when a new potential client comes in through the door, and sometimes you're not working with the best technical team on their end that has all the answers, especially if there's been a hodgepodge of solutions over time, with people coming and going from the company. So it's almost like playing detective every time, where you have to fill in the blanks, or possibly just have to find something that no one knows about, at least deeply. So Palantir helping create a starting point and possibly pattern recognition can speed up the process of this for pre-sales. So it's just all my speculation here. I don't work in this industry, but hoping it just shows how valuable Palantir may be and is expanding within an organization with the tier of Cisco. I do like how, though, it is on the pre-sale side presenting also at AIPCon, because this is a strong opportunity for Palantir if it hasn't already demonstrated itself to the organization of Cisco fully that, that's a good starting point, because this is literally directly involved with revenue generating aspects of Cisco, or at least to do it in a more efficient manner. If you want to show your value, why not do it where they make money? Because if you can accurately contract with a client without any pitfalls, the better you plan for your implementation and less headache for Cisco's clients, which is a win-win overall. So without a doubt, a company the size of Cisco is an opportunity in the tens of millions per year just with their financials. If Palantir can embed themselves within Cisco, think of how they can do this in other large organizations. And what's even better, Palantir's industry agnostic. So the Cisco's of healthcare, utilities, telecom, manufacturing, logistics, there just seems to be no limit to what Palantir can do and where they can help. And we can already see this with the other partners and clients that are going to be speaking at AIPCon. They're all heavy hitters, you could say. But let me know your thoughts below, and I'll see you in the next video.